Hey guys, welcome to Juicy Tea, where I read out the best stories on Reddit, so you don't have to. They're funny, shocking, and satisfyingly juicy. Today we're looking at posts so ridiculous, they just have to be fake. Am I the a-hole for leaving during my wife's labour? Post by Epicrosis. My wife went into labour about 6 PM on Sunday. We were expecting twins. It quickly turns into a very painful process. She kept cutting off the blood pressure to my hand when she squeezed, and nearly sprayed my shirt with vomit. Oh my god, each line he says makes it even worse. Around 3 AM, my dad calls. I work for my dad's company, and we had a presentation for clients Monday morning that I had to get ready for. My dad heard my wife was in labour, but told me he needed me on this presentation. He said there was nothing I could do to help my wife in the delivery, and that seeing the baby come out was overrated, and people don't prepare you for the gore. He said he needed me to rest up and make myself presentable for the presentation. My wife's labour was progressing very slowly, and we were all certain that she would need forceps or some other assistance to deliver the babies. So, in other words, a very dangerous, scary labour. I realised I couldn't help her here, and my dad was counting on me. So I told her I need to leave. She started screaming at me so loudly that a few nurses rushed over to our room. I ended up doing the presentation with the clients and things went well. I leave the office and see a text on my phone that said my wife delivered an hour ago at around 10:30 AM and that they had to use forceps. I would have had to miss the meeting if I stayed, and my dad has given me everything he possibly could have in life, so I didn't want to let him down. Am I the a-hole? I had responsibilities I had to take care of, and while my wife is still screaming at me that she was alone when they destroyed her body, I'm the only one who works, and her own mum said that she was being emotional and overreacting. My wife even went as far as to say that her family would disown her if she was the first of them to divorce, but that she doesn't consider me her husband right now. This has got to be a joke post, right? I hope. Let me know what you guys think. Rage bait or devil? Am I the a-hole for snapping at my wife and calling her crazy because she wants me to take a paternity test for my nephew? Post by Throwaway. My wife and I have been married for 10 years, together for 14. We're child-free. I also have a nephew who's currently 13, and I'm not gonna lie, he looks a lot like me and has a lot of the same facial features as me. I'm really proud of him and we have a close bond. I've played a father role in his life since I was a kid. He has a deadbeat father, and my sister divorced him a long time ago. A few of my family members have commented on how much my nephew looks a lot like me. And while I initially thought it was wholesome, my wife for some reason has become very insecure and started having doubts. She's questioning why I need to play such a prominent role in my nephew's life, why my nephew has autism, etc. The insinuations have become weird and make me uncomfortable. I agree my sister's dry humour doesn't help. During family gatherings, my sister jokes a lot about how wholesome it is that her son looks like me, and that she couldn't be happier. It's obviously a joke, but I spoke to my sister and asked if she could tone it down a bit because it was making my wife a bit crazy. However, last night, my wife asked if I could take a paternity test, just for a peace of mind. That's when I finally snapped and called her crazy, and that marrying her was the biggest mistake of my life. Whoa! Going a bit far there. I immediately regretted saying it. I absolutely didn't mean it. My wife is the love of my life. But my wife got quiet and started crying. Was I the a-hole? Update. I agreed to take the test, but under certain conditions. I understand that my wife is being paranoid and delusional, but I want to take the test just to ease whatever irrational fear she's having. I spoke to my sister about it today, and she was obviously pretty angry at my wife. However, she and I discussed it at length, and she agreed to take the test, under certain conditions. I spoke to my wife, and she was very happy that I agreed to take the test, and then I told her the conditions. The first condition was that she had to stop these insinuations immediately. My wife immediately agreed to it. The second condition was that there weren't going to be any more arguments about me spending time with my sister and nephew. We've had a few arguments over the years where she asked why I spend so much time at their house. My wife agreed to the condition, although she took some time to think about it. The third and final condition was that I had the liberty to go on vacations with my sister and nephew without my wife being there. I told my wife up front that my sister doesn't want her to come on these vacations anymore. My wife was a bit more hesitant on this, but ultimately she agreed to it. Update 2. The results did come back, and it was as expected. However, my wife went back on her word and asked if I could revert the conditions. I just told her straight up that I'd look into divorce if she kept going on like this. My wife then freaked out and started crying and asked why I prefer my sister more. She asked if it was because she was unable to give me a baby. My wife struggles with infertility. I calmed her down and told her I was obviously not going to divorce her and to just relax. Yikes, this guy really needs to think before he speaks. You should never use the D word unless you mean it. I wonder if her insecurities actually come from him consistently saying stuff like marrying her was the biggest mistake of his life and he's going to divorce her. I told her to keep a cool head and to think rationally, and that she had to accept sooner rather than later that my sister and my nephew were always going to be part of my family. I also told her to look into individual therapy, like many people in my last post recommended. My wife was surprisingly open to it, and she accepted that she was being irrational, but that she was just afraid of losing me. So anyways, that was my final update. I think we're making good progress, and therapy should hopefully resolve whatever issues my wife is going through. Yeah, she's acting crazy. Who's jealous of a guy's sister? I wonder what she's like with any other woman in his life, like his mother, his auntie. God forbid he has any female friends or co-workers. But seriously, she is not being rational when she said she's scared of losing him, after he keeps telling her that he wants to divorce her. My soon-to-be ex-boyfriend won't do anything without his mummy's permission. How do I get him to stand up to her? Post by Random Batgirl. I'm a 19-year-old girl and my soon-to-be ex is 24. Today, I had a Halloween surprise planned for my boyfriend. I wanted to dress up and go to a theme park together, then watch horror movies and spend the night at my place. He's a Christian and doesn't celebrate Halloween, so I'd be the only one in a costume. Unfortunately, once his mummy found out about our plans, she put a stop to it. She said he can't spend the night at my house until we're married. I've spent the night at his house multiple times, but his mummy made him sleep in her bed on those days. The day before Halloween, he said we can still go out together, but he won't be spending the night at mine, to respect his mummy's commands. I told him alright, and to be ready by 12 PM tomorrow. Well, today he didn't answer the phone. I called him 30 times. So I called his mum and told her to tell him to call me back. When he finally decided to answer the phone, he told me he's not going at all because mummy said so. He told me to call his mummy and doesn't want to talk about this anymore, then hung up on me. What can I do about this? How can I get his mummy out of our relationship? I'm on the verge of breaking up with him. It's not the first time that something like this has happened. I really like him, but this is effing stupid. We've been together for 15 months, and this is my first serious relationship. What? You know, usually when a 24-year-old is dating a 19-year-old, I'd be thinking he's too mature for her. Not really an issue here though. Dude needs to take his mummy's nips out of his mouth and crawl out of her bed. Literally. His mummy had him sleeping in her bed? Like, what in Alabama is this story? You're 19. Just take this as a funny story, dump him, and get a new one. If you like this video, please let me know, and subscribe for more juicy tea.